Hi everybody, Happy New Year and welcome to the What's New webinar for the latest release of Mission Control. Let's jump in and take a look at what's coming. Okay, so there's a number of new features and there's a number of enhancements to existing functionality as well. So we've got I guess the main feature being released is a new feature called the Auto Assignment Wizard. So we'll walk through that. We've also got the ability to convert role forecasts into actions. All of our components now fully support record types. There's some enhancements being made to the functionality that creates tasks and events from actions. We've got a number of updates to the Gantt chart. We've also introduced the ability to easily import and export mission control project plans from one org to another via a JSON file. A few updates to the project status report and some minor enhancements that we'll cover off as we go through. So looking at the auto assignment wizard, so this is a component that is accessible from the project object, and it allows you to automatically assign resources based on a couple of different methods. You can assign people based on their team membership and their capacity. Alternatively, you can do it based on those people having a skill, how good they are at that skill, how much they enjoy it, and their capacity as well. And so you can automatically assign people, or you can select from a list of recommendations based on how closely they match the requirements for that individual project. So role forecast conversion. So you've got the ability. So if you're using the role forecasting functionality, and let's say you've created a role forecast for the different people that are needed, and you want to convert that over to actions on a project, you may have actually spent some time manually allocating the role allocations relating to those role forecasts. So you don't want to have to redo all of that once you've created your actions. So this role forecast conversion functionality allows you to convert the role forecasts into actions, and then it will copy over all of the role allocations that relate to the role forecasts over to the actions. So as I mentioned briefly a moment ago, all components within Mission Control, so whether it's like timesheets, whiteboards, various other components that we have, all of those components now support record types. So if you've added record types to a particular object and that component works with that object, then you're going to be able to access the record type field. So what will happen is the record being created will auto-populate to the default record type, but you will be able to switch that, and any pick list fields that are filtered to only have options specific to that record type will be filtered as well. So the task and event functionality, so how you can create a task or event relating to an action. Those records actually have a prefix of mission control attached to the task name. So you now have the ability to control that prefix. So you can choose to override that with your own custom prefix, or you can choose to remove that prefix. Previously, when the event was generated, it was assigned to the action owner if that action owner was a role that was linked to a user. That will also now associate contributors to that event as well. So if the contributor is referencing a role that is linked to a Salesforce user, then that Salesforce user would also be assigned to that event. And then if you have ticked the box to create the task or event, and then you uncheck that box, the related task or event will actually be deleted as well. So Gantt chart enhancements, we've removed the ability to toggle on and off checklist items, so they will always display by default. So moving forward, the only way to exclude checklist items from the Gantt chart would be to use the exclude from Gantt chart checkboxes, and the button has been removed from the Gantt chart. And one of the probably one of our most requested features, so we're super excited to be delivering this for everybody, is the ability to customize which fields appear in the edit modals of the Gantt chart. So when you click the pencil or when you double click the appropriate bar on the Gantt chart, you go into that edit modal. So whether you're editing an action or a milestone or a checklist, previously they were all fixed fields. You couldn't modify them, whereas now they're all going to be controlled by field sets. So you've got a lot more flexibility around what those modals look like. Project status report, again, taking into account feedback from customers. You now have the ability to distribute your reports on different days of the week. So there's still one master distribution day, but for individual projects, you can specify whether it happens on a different day. So you might have one customer that wants to receive their project report on a Monday. You might have another customer that wants to receive that on a Wednesday. So you can now do that on a per project basis. There's an additional appendix being added as well, which allows you to include a list of the project stakeholders for visibility when sharing that report. So some minor enhancements. So the role edit page, really minor, but it's just an efficiency gain instead of just having a save button. So you've now got a save and new button. So when you're adding multiple roles, you don't have to click save and then click the new button again. You can click save and new. That will save the existing role and then automatically load a new page to create a new one. There's been a number of list views added onto the role object that allow you to control the permissions for each of the modals on the Gantt chart. So whether it's portfolio, program, project, milestone, action, there's a number of fields on the role record that allow you to control what's displayed by default, and so on. So you can quickly manage those for all roles via those list views. The managed forecast component has had a couple of minor updates. It now includes a notes field, so you can put in some detail around what each of those role forecasts relate to. You can also add in additional custom fields via a field set. The manage availability feature that used to have a daily process that would determine which availability record was active. That's now been deprecated, so the active field is no longer used, and the availability records will no longer update the master fields on the role record. So your role record will always be your master set of hours, and then your availability will only apply for that particular period. So a lot more detail relating to all of this in the release notes. There's a couple of there's one field being added to the milestone object and one formula field being modified. So we have included a field called expenses invoiced, which calculates the sum of the expenses relating to that milestone. And then that is used to accurately reflect the amount remaining. So particularly when you're using the billing generator and the milestone is fixed price plus expenses, it's used to determine to reflect the amount remaining being accurate rather than counting expenses that have been invoiced. And then there's a validation rule being added to the action object that controls making sure that the appropriate fields are populated if you are trying to set the task or event checkboxes to true. Okay, so let's jump in and take a look at all the main new features. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the auto assignment wizard. So this is a feature within Mission Control that enables you to easily identify and automatically assign the most appropriate roles to a project based on defined criteria, including capacity, team membership, and skill set. So in order to use the auto assignment wizard, you need to just go to the menu on the project and click on the auto assignment. Before I jump into that, I'm just going to show you. So this is a scenario where I've got a brand new project that's just been created, and it's been generated from a template. So, and you can see that I've got placeholders assigned as my project owner, my milestone owners, my various action owners have all been assigned to different placeholder records. So what I'm going to do is actually, rather than me having to go off to my scheduler or resource planner and work out like for each type of role I need, who has the most availability, I can now use the auto assignment wizard. So if I open that up, and we'll just walk through that first of all. So I'll talk you through the settings to start with. So the settings are organization-wide; they're not per user. And if any, for anyone to be able to modify these settings, there is a checkbox on the their role record that would need to be set to true, called Edit Auto Assignment Settings. So if that field is true on my role record, I have the ability to then come in and modify the settings here. So if you are using role forecasting, you will want to specify an existing allocation source. So this is what's used to determine the existing allocation of effort that would count towards the use of available capacity. So similar to the resource planner, I can choose from the four options of I only want to include forecasts, I only want to include actions. If a project has both for role forecasts and actions, I want to use the forecasts. If it has both, I want to use the actions. So I've got mine set to both, with the actions winning. So then there's two methods of searching for resources, and I'm going to talk through those in a moment. But these settings determine the weighting of importance that is given. So these don't have to be out of 100%. They can be whatever numbers you want. It's ultimately a number used to determine the importance of that element versus the others. So for example, on my team duration, so this is how long a person has been a member of that team. So I'm giving that a score of 20, but I'm giving my capacity a score of 60. So I'm obviously placing 3 times the amount of importance on their availability versus how long they've actually been in that team. And then when I'm using the skill assignment method, I'm looking at factors such as how long have they been, how long have they had that skill, how good are they at that skill, how much they enjoy using that skill, and then their capacity as well. Again, I'm placing different levels of importance on each of those metrics. So the assignment wizard is a 3-step process. You first of all choose how you're going to assign, so what method of assignment you're going to use. So you can automatically assign resources, or you can recommend. So the auto assignment will literally just go off and work out the most available person for each of those existing assignments, and will automatically assign those roles to that. The recommend option will give you a list of recommended roles that are showing how closely they match that criteria, and based on that, you can then choose who you're going to assign. And your search method is you're either searching based on master team or skill. So for master team to work, the existing roles that are allocated to the project, like these placeholders, they need to have a master team that is the same as the master team for the roles that you're trying to assign. So for example, I've got master teams for consultants, for developers, for trainers, and then all of those placeholders are also put in those same master teams. For skills, people need to obviously have skill assignments. The actions on the project need to have a skill defined, and you'll get a warning notification if there's anything missing from that criteria. So this project that I'm working on here is not set up to be to use the skill method. So it's just letting me know that each action on the project needs a skill assigned. So please assign those before using the wizard. So the fact that I'm not getting a notification here means that all of my existing roles on the project do have a master team. So I'm going to use the recommend option. I'm using the team method, and then I'm going to click on assign. So that's going to run through, and it's looking at things like those weightings, like what's the team capacity, how long have they been in that team, what's their capacity. So it's assessing their availability in comparison to the requirement that we have on this project. And what it's doing is giving me a list of resources now. So for each consultant, for each existing role on the project, these are the matching, these are the top 5 matching, and I can see how closely someone matches that criteria. So I'm going to make Kelly my consultant. I'm going to make James my junior consultant, and then I'm going to make Julian the trainer. And I'm just going to leave my placeholder client assigned to that placeholder client. So then I can go and assign that to my relevant client as and when I need to. So by clicking assign here, what that will do is automatically now go and replace any assignment for those placeholders over to those named people. So I haven't had to spend time looking at all of their individual capacities and determining who's the most appropriate. The system has just done that automatically for me. So now if I close that, and I'll just quickly refresh that page. So you can see that the assignment has replaced like the project owner, the milestone owner, the action owners. Where we've got contributors, we've replaced those, and so right across the entire project, we've been able to automatically assign the most available resources to that project. Details in the release notes talk through examples of the weightings and the requirements for the skill method versus the master team method. You can also invoke this via a flow as well. So there's 2 invocable Apex classes that you can call via a flow. So for example, if you've automatically generated your project from close winning an opportunity, then you can schedule a flow to happen at a certain time to then go through the automatic assignment process. So the next thing we're going to take a look at is the ability to convert your role forecast records into actions on your project. So you'll see here I've got a project for implementing Salesforce for Billabong. I don't currently have any milestones or actions on the project. However, I do have some existing role forecasts, and I have manually distributed the hours on some of those. So I'm just going to jump into the Manage Forecast component. So you'll see here I've got a role forecast for Kelly, Colin, and Alana. And if I take a look at the allocations, I've manually distributed the hours for Kelly. So I've added additional hours in the first week and reduced them in the second and third week, and then increased them in the fourth as well. So having manually distributed that at the role forecast level, if I now go and create actions on my project there to assign that effort to Kelly, I don't want to have to do that again. So what you've now got the ability to do is quickly convert the role forecasts into actions, and then the role allocations that are relating to the role forecasts will be cloned over to those actions as well. So how you do that is on the project there is a field that's been added that allows you to convert role forecasts to actions. So simply set that field to true and click on save. So you'll see there what's happened is I've had a placeholder milestone. Obviously, my actions need to be related to a milestone. So the process has automatically created a milestone called role forecasts, and you can change the name of that. You can set your own default naming convention. I'll show you that in a moment. But what I've now got is an action for each of the role forecasts that's been generated, and you can see that the hours have all come across. Now, if I click into Kelly's, where we know we had manually distributed that, taking a quick look at my my role allocations, I can see that my hours have all been reflected based on what had been done on the role allocations relating to the role forecasts. So just back up on the project, just to explain, as I mentioned a moment ago, you can set your own naming convention for that milestone. So there's a new setting that has been added on the control pad within the role allocation automation settings section. Just down the bottom here, you'll see that you can actually put in your own name. So whatever you want that placeholder milestone to be called, you can set your own name there. Otherwise, if this setting is empty, as it states, it will just call it role forecasts, as it has done in my example. So all custom components within Mission Control have now been enhanced to support record types. So if your Salesforce org does allow you to create record types on your objects, those record types will now have an impact on the various components. So there's a big long list of components that have been updated to support record types, all of which are detailed in the release notes. The example I'm going to show here is just on the timesheet. So I have two different record types configured on my time log object called internal and external. So my internal record type is set as my default. So when I'm logging time, so if I come in, put in that I've just done 2 hours, and then I double click into that to add some additional information, you'll see that the record type has automatically been set to my default of internal, and I can obviously change that to external if I need to. The main thing that influences are the options within any pick list field on that object. So you'll see at the moment I've got that set to internal, and my time log type has two different options here. If I say that this was an external time log, I change that, and then my options will automatically change. So that's just based on the values within the pick list have been allocated to specific record types. So wherever I'm logging time, obviously by default it would be set to internal, whereas if I change it, any available options within my pick list fields will also be changed as well. So same thing happens on the log time component, defaults to my default time log record type, and my options are available. If I change that to external, my options will have changed there again. So any pick lists that are driven from the record type will be updated to reflect the options that you want your users to select from. So as I say, full list of components that now support that. It's pretty much everything where you can interact with records in Mission Control via a custom component. So things like the logging expenses, logging time, the contributors, checklist items, creating actions, Kanban board, retro board, and so on. So pretty much every component has been set up to support record types. We've made a few different enhancements to the feature that allows you to create a standard Salesforce task or event relating to an action. So just going to run through them all at the same time, really. So we have, obviously, if I go down and set the event checkbox to true. So if I set that to true, what it will do is create an event record relating to the action, and you'll see it comes with this prefix of mission control, and then it follows by the name of the action with the name of the project in brackets. So you now have the ability to control whether that prefix is added or not. So on the control pad, there is a new setting that allows you to control whether there is a prefix or whether you turn it off or not. So if you want to, your options are that you can set it to have no prefix, or you can set your own custom prefix. So if you're choosing custom prefix, you would just put your own value in here, and then and obviously you would need to set the setting to true and click on save. So whatever you've done there, that would be reflected in the name of the task or event record that's created. The other feature, so previously the only person assigned to that event would be the action owner, if that action owner was a role record linked to a Salesforce user record. We've now extended that functionality to also assign the contributors to that event if they are also roles that are linked to user records. So you'll see I've got myself as the action owner, and you'll see that I also have a contributor for Chris. Now Chris's role record also links to a Salesforce user record as well. So when I take a look at that at that event now, you can see that both of us, but both Salesforce users have been assigned to that event, not whereas previously it would have just been myself. And then the other update is that obviously I set that field to true. If I now decide actually I don't want that event record, previously if I had set this to false, nothing would happen to the event record that had been created. Now if I set that to false, that event record will be deleted. So I'll set that to false, scroll up, and you'll see that the event record has now been deleted from the system. So I mentioned earlier we've made a couple of enhancements to the Gantt chart. One of them, there's not really a lot to show you because it's just a button that has been removed. There was a button here that previously used to allow you to toggle whether the checklist items were displayed or not. That's now been removed because we want the checklists to be always displayed by default. It was ultimately causing confusion for some customers why they were creating checklists and they weren't appearing. So we found that generally the preference is to have them displayed. You can still exclude checklists by setting the exclude from Gantt chart checkbox on the individual records if you need to, so you still have that ability. But ultimately, checklists will always now be visible on the Gantt chart. And the other main thing is, as I said earlier, this has been something that has been requested by a lot of customers. So we are really pleased to be able to deliver this for everybody. Is the ability to modify the fields that are visible within the main edit modal. And so the edit modals that I'm referring to are, so if you click the pencil or you double click onto the record, it will open up the what we call the edit modal. So you've obviously got a number of different tabs, but the one with the record name is what we refer to as the edit modal. So you'll see that the layout has changed slightly because of this feature enhancement. But now, so all of the fields now are actually being displayed here based on them being included in a field set. So this is just giving you complete control over which fields are visible. We found some customers were wanting to remove some of the fields that we had in there by default, and also wanting to add some of their own custom fields. So neither of those things were previously possible, but now both are. So every object that you can edit via the Gantt chart has a field set. So I'm just on the action here as an example, but you'll find that everyone, so the field set is called action Gantt edit modal. So obviously the milestone would be milestone Gantt edit modal. So if I click into that, so all of the fields that are there by default that we were just looking at, so these are the fields that are included by default, but if you decide actually I don't want priority, you can just remove that. If you have your own custom fields that you would like to pull in, you can do that as well using the individual field sets. So really pleased to be able to deliver that because, as I say, it has been requested from several customers, so super excited to be able to tick that one off for everybody. So a new feature that we've added in, which is actually accessible from the Gantt chart, is the ability to import and export JSON files of project plans. This will really enable you to easily transfer an entire project plan from one Salesforce org to another. So for example, you may have configured mission control in a sandbox org, you've created your project plan, and now you want to get that into your production org. Previously, you would have obviously had to use the Salesforce data loader and export all of the individual objects as separate CSVs and then import them, matching up relationships. With the JSON file, that literally does all of that in one process for you now. So it's going to make it really simple to transfer those project plans between orgs. So I've actually got two separate orgs open at the moment. I've got my template project in one org, and what I'm going to do is click on my import export button, and I'm going to export my JSON file. So click on export, that will download that file for me. So I just get confirmation that's been downloaded as a JSON file. So now I can jump over to my new org, my other org, and import that file. So you'll notice that on my org where I've exported it from, I'm actually on the Gantt chart on the project overview, and you'll have noticed that I could only see the export button. I can't see the import button. That's because to be able to import the file, you have to be on the standalone Gantt chart. So you can see here that I'm on the standalone Gantt chart in my target org. So I'm going to click on the import button, select the file, and then import it. So click on that button, and you can see now that because I am on the standalone Gantt chart, I can actually see the import feature as well. So I'm just going to go off and choose my file. Okay, so I've selected my file and I'll click on import. So what that's done is, this is all now in draft mode, and I can see that because obviously I've got my unsaved changes. So whilst it's in this draft mode, I can't actually edit any of the records. I have to save them first before I can make any changes. The only exception to that is that I could actually go through and replace any of the roles. Now you'll see these roles have asterisks. I'll just widen my column here just to show you that. So there are asterisks around these just to indicate that these are roles that may have come from a different org that you don't necessarily have in your org. So you can change those prior to saving. However, if I do save it as it is now without making any changes, it will look to see if these roles exist. If they do, it will associate them as the owners. If they don't exist, then they would just be left blank. So I'm just going to click on save. Okay, so that's all saved. You can see all of my roles that do match have matched up. So I could now come in and make changes to this. So obviously it's carried over the template name. So I would obviously want to maybe give that a different name. I could potentially look to use our auto assignment on the project to go and assign relevant resources. But what I've been able to do is take the full project plan from one org and bring it seamlessly into another org. So hopefully that's going to make transferring data from one org to another much simpler for everybody. We've also made a number of enhancements to the project status report as well. So one of those has come at the request of customers who want to be able to distribute the reports on different days. So previously you selected a particular day of the week to distribute your reports, whereas we've found customers want to be able to share their reports with their customers on different days. You know, so for example, customer A might be happy to receive their report on Monday, but customer B wants to receive their status report on a Wednesday. So you now have that ability within Mission Control. So you can, so on the individual project, there is a new field that's been included. I'll just scroll down to the project settings. So this new field report distributed on, you can specify the day of the week that you want that to be distributed. So if that is empty, it will be distributed on the day specified on the setting, and otherwise it would go out on the day that you've set for the particular project. There is one thing that you will need to do in order to take advantage of this. So on the control pad, so the setting hasn't changed, but right now it would be running weekly, and you need this to be running daily so it knows which day to send the report out. So you still have your master distribution date set here, but then if you want something to go out on a different day, you would just set that on the project. The thing that you need to do, you'll see that I'm just getting a notification here. So this is just telling me that this process is currently running on a weekly basis. In order to be able to use the report distributed on feature, we just need to click save. And now what that does is it changes it from a weekly scheduled process to a daily scheduled process. So if I just click save there, so my notification will disappear. I've now got that running daily, so I'm now able to distribute my project status reports on different days of the week. The other feature that was requested was the ability to include an appendix for project stakeholders. So you'll see there's another field being added on the project object that allows you to say you want to include the stakeholders appendix. And I'll just show you on my related list. I do have three different stakeholders. There's a field that's been added onto this object called include in weekly status report. So if this is true, these people will be included in the table that is added as that appendix. So if I just jump back to my project and take a look at my status report. So the stakeholder appendix simply just lists out the project stakeholders that you've chosen to include. You can include 3 additional fields via a field set on the project stakeholder object, but ultimately this will just include this will include the list of stakeholders, so you can share that with everyone looking at the report. Okay, that covers off the demo of all the main new features that we've included in this release. Obviously, details for all of those main features plus all of the minor enhancements we mentioned earlier, they're all documented in the release notes as well. So definitely encourage you to review those. So let's take a look at when this is becoming available. So as always, it's a staggered release. So as of the 5th of January, it's going to be available for you to manually upgrade via the App Exchange. On the 13th of January, we will automatically upgrade all sandbox orgs, and then on the 20th of January, we will be automatically upgrading all production orgs. So with all that said, thank you for your time. Really appreciate you taking a look at what's coming. And as always, we appreciate your feedback. So look forward to hearing what you think of the new functionality. Thanks. Bye.